If you guys weren't familiar, September is National Preparedness Month. Out here in Oregon, you got the hams doing go kit challenges, they're doing antenna testing, and even conducting full station audits. Here, their field days aren't just for fun, it's literally a deployment simulation. I mentioned about SEA-PAC, and that included doing repeater mapping and adventure radio demos. These aren't workshops, they're basically wargaming for that what-if scenario. Most people think that ham radio is dead, a relic, something that your grandfather used to tinker with in the garage. But out here at 3,600 feet above sea level, there's a signal bouncing off of mountaintops that could literally save your life when everything else goes dark. I already talked about how beautiful the state of Oregon is, but beauty doesn't coordinate evacuations. When storms tear through valleys or fires outrun containment or earthquakes shatter roads, all of that has some sort of grid failure that goes along with it. And it's with that the arrogant ARES operators light up the airwaves. In this past month, I've chased signals from the peaks of Alaska to Colorado and now the peaks and valleys of Oregon. And what I've learned is this: resilience isn't built in bunkers. It's really just built in networks. So let's break down how Oregon built one of the most resilient, decentralized emergency comm systems in the country and why it matters now more than ever. Oregon's ARES system is one of the most active and tactically integrated in the entire country, especially in District 1, and that includes the Portland Metro and all the surrounding counties. So as a general overview, Oregon ARES is a volunteer-based emergency communications force, and their job is to support local emergency managers, the CERT teams I've talked about before, doing stuff with the Red Cross shelters, hospitals, fire departments, and public safety agencies. And they also conduct and assist with statewide drills and disaster simulations using ham radio to relay critical traffic, coordinate resources, and maintain situational awareness. Now, one of the things that really stood out to me was how well they have their ARES divided up. Oregon is divided into ARES districts. Each has its own leadership, its own nets, and deployment protocols. The most active and really the most impressive one that I found, is like the one that I just mentioned before, is their District 1. And again, that's covering that Portland metro area and all of the surrounding counties. And the big thing here is District 1 uses the K7 RPT repeater system, and on that they're conducting daily nets and emergency coordination. It's one of the most robust and technically advanced ham radio networks in the Pacific Northwest, and this thing serves a massive portion of Northwest Oregon and Southwest Washington, pretty much all along the I-5 corridor. And that corridor is pretty much going from the Chi House to Cottage Grove and eastward towards the Cascade Locks. I mentioned about Oregon's mountains, and this repeater system exploits the fact that having many repeaters mounted on high elevation sites, including South Saddle Mountain, which is at 3,600 feet, it gives handheld radios really surprising range. A lot of us know that if you're using simplex comm, especially VHF, UHF, that line of sight ability, we know, like on those bubble pack radios, a lot of those distances that they're advertising is from, hey, if you're standing on a mountain and you're looking down into a valley, yeah, you can get, 16, 25, 40 miles. Well, the way Oregon has their network sets up, they do a really good job of exploiting exactly that. So as far as the repeaters themselves, they consist of the Forest Grove node, which is on 147.320. And we said this was a linked system. So that's linked full time to the 442.225 KOIN tower in Portland and 442.325 on South Saddle Mountain. You also have the Timberline Lodge node, which is on 147.120, and that's linked to the Cinder and Eagle Butte repeaters. And all of those repeaters support FM wideband, which is 25 kilohertz, DMR, Yaesu Systems Fusion, IRLP, and Echolink for analog to digital bridging. And many of these sites are equipped with backup power for disaster resilience, and something that I think is so cool, but has gone by the wayside in way too many spots, is this system still supports a closed auto patch system. So if you basically press star 911, you have the ability to make emergency calls to the 911 system. As an MCOM community group, this group runs weekly drills, Winlink exercises, and deployment simulations. And the District 1 website is one of the best radio, ham radio-based websites I've ever seen. Then you have District 3, and this covers Southern Oregon to include their wildfire-prone areas like Jackson and Josephine counties, where I'm literally filming this from. And District 3 isn't just a ham radio zone, it's a masterclass in decentralized resilience, HF nets transmitting through wildfire smoke, VHF repeaters bouncing off ridge lines, and the volunteers who live and operate here are the real deal. They lace up their boots when a crisis hits, and they deploy. And this brings us to District 5, and District 5 covers all of Central Oregon, and this is anchored by Dutchess County, and this makes this district a tactical comms powerhouse. And their focus is really just to have a medical edge, because the terrain they deal with here is high desert, alpine zones, and an urban-rural mix made up from Bend and Redmond and Sisters, Oregon. Their disaster profile includes wildfires, winter storms, mass casualty events, and remote medical emergencies. Where this group really shines, though, is in their hospital network integration. Here they've kind of focused on their ARES operators being embedded in hospital emergency departments and command centers during drills and real-world incidents. They also go on to support tactical comms by supporting backup links between hospitals, clinics, and county EOCs when their primary systems fail. And this is needed due to this being what the facilities that are here require, and the facilities that are involved with. This is the first, it has to do first with their major partner, which is the St. Charles Health System, because that serves all of Bend, Redmond, and Prineville. And literally these ham operators go out there and train with the system and then assist with patient transport coordination, resource requests, and shelter medical link-ups. Now, I think that all of the responsibility they're given and the potential that they have to be utilized is awesome, but it does require training, and it's usually training through doing. And I love the mission-focused nets they conduct. For example, in that District 1, they do an ARES net daily at 7:30 p.m. on that K7 RPT repeater system.
Well, good evening. Oregon's District 1 Amateur Radio Emergency Service Net is now in session. This is your net control station, Kilo Charlie 7 November Yankee Romeo. My name is Mark, located in Beaverton. This net meets daily from 7:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. local time for the purpose of preparation and coordination of District 1 ARES communications in event of an actual emergency. During an actual emergency, you would be directed to check in with your local county ARES net. Our primary repeaters are 147.32, 442.325, 444.125, and 147.040 megahertz linked repeaters, all having a 100 hertz tone. We have 146.72 megahertz repeater on Wickiup Mountain with a 118.8 hertz tone. This was currently disconnected. We also have an alternate repeater on 146.840 megahertz.
And on top of that, they do Winlink Wednesdays, which is unofficial but widely practiced. Then on Thursdays at 8:05 p.m., they do an outdoors net. And this is perfect for your SOTA guys, your POTA guys, which really boils right over into your search and rescue operations. And then on Sundays at 8:10 p.m., they do a CERT and neighborhood coordination net. So in wrapping this up, in the last few months, I've stood on mountaintops in Alaska, chased signals through Colorado, and now I'm here learning how and talking with the operators that respond to Oregon when it's facing any of the many disasters that they, are expected to and do face on not a daily basis, but pretty regularly. So it's very cool just to see how they do things. So kind of just digesting everything of all the information that I've been getting. This isn't just ham radio. It's literally human resilience. It's volunteers who are training like professionals. It's shelter ops and repeater systems, hospital links, and a system that is truly relied upon. District 1 runs like a tactical machine. District 3 deploys into the smoke and the silence because they're just wrought for wildfires. District 5 turns medical chaos into coordinated comm. And every net, every drill, every go-kit challenge is a rehearsal for the moment when the grid fails and their mission begins. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are in Oregon, if you've ever talked to these repeaters, if your state has a really good ARES or MCOM system in place, let me know that in the comments. And with that, we'll see you on the next one. Be safe.